Hey everyone, I'm Casey from P35 Welding. I'm the owner and operator, and today I'm going to do a little video of troubleshooting wiring on a trailer. Don't let it be intimidating, because it's usually not. It can get frustrating, no doubt, but we'll see if we can figure this out. So let's go ahead and look at the subject. So here's the trailer. Nice dual axle, dually deck over trailer. And the customer says when we hook it up to the truck, the brakes lock up. That is not what you want. So initially off the bat, what I am suspecting, and it's extremely common, is wires are chewed up somewhere, whether that be dragging on the ground or from a mouse. They like to chew them up, and that tells me it's functioning the way it shouldn't be. That tells me that wires are touching where they shouldn't be, because just plugging the trailer into the truck should not be engaging the electric brake. So I'm just going to go through my process. If you don't have one of these, it's a great tool. This is a trailer tester. There is the make and model. And basically it acts as your tow vehicle. Has all the same functions, 7-way plug, and then all of the functions you can isolate individually. So let me go ahead and get it hooked up and we'll take a peek. Right off the bat, the first thing I see to go to plug it in is I'm already have wires falling out. So let's get it plugged in and then see what it does. Okay, I have the trailer plugged into the tester. So be sure it's on, and I'm just going to start from function number one. So I'm going to go tail lights, left turn, brake lights, right turn, electric brake, and then 12-pin auxiliary. This doesn't have backup lights, so I don't really need to check that, but you can definitely add them on because these are a 7-pin connector, but usually that 7th pin there's nothing attached to it. So let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. So now I should have tail lights. And I've got nothing. That's a problem. Left turn signal. Now, I already know it's not working, because if I look back there, I don't see any flashing on the wall, but this will also click. It'll give you an audible click. Actually, you can kind of hear it, but it's definitely not clicking the way it should be. Let's go back and take a peek at it. Okay, so as you can see, left turn signal is not even doing anything. So yeah, my suspicions of wires being crossed somewhere are tied together. I think that's going to be found here somewhere, but let's keep on checking. So now I'm going to go brake lights. Oh, hey, I do have one brake light. Right brake light works just fine, but left is dead. So we might actually have a right turn signal. We're about to find out. Okay. So you can hear that nice click, just like you would in your car. And if I look back there, I can see that the right turn signal is working just fine. Okay, so the chief complaint was once I hook it up, the brakes lock up. So let's just check the electric brakes just to begin with. Electric brake mechanisms should be locking these up. So what I like to do is lift the trailer up off the ground, so that way the wheels are free spinning. That one's definitely not engaged. That one feels kind of maybe the bearings are not the best, or it's too tight, but we'll keep on checking. That one I'm going to say absolutely not. That one absolutely not. He did say that once they plugged it into the truck that they locked up. So let's just go ahead, and since we know that our right turn signal actually works, let's see if that would cause anything. No, still free. So let's try one more. let's go with brake lights, since that's going to engage both lights in the back. Maybe that'll give me something more. No, nothing there. Nothing there. Back to the other side. Also nothing there. Also nothing there. Oh, that one's still okay. That one definitely feels like it's engaging. Ever so slightly, but it does feel that way. Let's go ahead and probably fix that plug, because I got a feeling there could be problems there. Okay, got the plug apart, and just kind of looking at this plug, I've honestly never seen one like this. And it's dirty, greasy. That could all impact the wires making a good solid contact, the actual front where it plugs into your truck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip these wires down, so that way the shield for the new plug, which I have right here, so actually all of this wiring will be protected within the body of the plug. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. It's always good to note how the wires are oriented on here. Unfortunately, there is not a standard color that is set in stone. However, this manufacturer appears to have followed what is typical, and that being the white in the bottom left there is ground, blue is electric brake, green is right turn signal, black is your 12 volt, brown, which is tail lights, and yellow, which is your left turn signal. So it's always kind of good just to, be sure that that's hooked up the way that you're used to. And I've got a little cheat sheet right here that I stole off a box from a plug, just to help me remember what goes where. So they have it wired the typical colors. So I'm going to rewire it the same way, just because you never know if somebody did something weird. So that way it's not going to throw me any different faults. So let me clip this down, reconnect it, and then we'll start over with our troubleshooting. So after I got the old plug out, you'll notice there are only 6 wires. Brown, taillights, green is right turn signal, white, ground, black, 12 volt, yellow is left turn signal, and this one is kind of reddish blue. I believe that's just, I don't know. Okay, so what I like to do on these, I like to use little ring terminals with a heat shrink on it. Makes it look more professional. It will keep those connections there, and a lot better than just bare wire and squeezing it in between the screw and the clamp. So I like to use that. Just be sure you actually heat shrink them. I never could understand, but I always find these things and they don't melt them. Heat gun, turn it on, and just wait for it to shrink. There, nice heat shrinked ring terminals for your plug. Much better. Okay, so now we're gonna connect. So on the back here, some of them do print colors. Like I said, that doesn't really mean anything. So just be sure you wire it the way it was unwired. So if you look at the plug here on my little cheat sheet, there it is. And so hold it the same way. You got that little slot for the body. Hold it the same way and connect your wires. So we're going to be going white, yellow, brown, black, green, and then we're going to put that red wire there because I assume that is the electric brake. So let's hook it up. All right, so that's hooked up. See, look how nice that looks instead of a bunch of frayed wire mess. It gets nice and flat on the terminal there. That's the way I like it. So go ahead and button up the plug, tighten the set screw up. You're gonna need a little tiny screwdriver for this, little jeweler screwdriver. That just keeps it from backing out. Flush. Then you flip it over, and there's another set screw, and a little horseshoe in there to clamp down on the jacket of that wire bundle. It's good. And it looks a hell of a lot better than the other one did. So now let's go ahead and replug and then retest again to see if we've gained any ground. Okay, so now with the new plug, I went ahead and hooked it back up to the tester. So let's go ahead and see if we've got anything. So we're going to start at tail lights like I did before, turn it on. Oh my gosh. We've got tail lights. So that's a step in the right direction. Now you definitely want to go around and do a walk around since we've got something that we didn't have before, so that way you can check for any bad lights. So far, so good. Okay, our lefts are still dead. I'm kind of starting to wonder if those are even plugged in. Those three are good. Those tail lights good. Good. And that one's out. Let's take a peek underneath there. Okay, we'll figure that out later. Okay, so anyway, we've actually got tail lights. Didn't have that before. So left turn signal, it's still dead. So I'm wondering if there isn't if it just didn't come disconnected in the back, but we'll look at that later. So brake lights, we had that before, no change. Right turn, we had that before, no change. Electric brakes, let's go ahead and check that. Nothing. That one was kind of sticky before. I think that one's just a bad electric brake assembly, or maybe it's not an auto adjusting one and we need to recheck it. Go ahead and check these two while we're at it. Nothing and nothing. Now let's go ahead and check. Oh, hey, there's something. So when this is in electric brake mode, the breakaway box is now charging. So that tells me one thing, that the auxiliary wire is in the electrical brake spot. So let's go ahead and see if this theory is correct. So now, if I go the auxiliary, I wonder if that'll give us brakes. I heard them click. Let's give it a whirl. Wow. Not turning at all. Not turning at all. That one locked right up. That one locked right up. Okay, that's wonderful news, because that way we know that our electric brakes are good. So here is where we're going to pat ourselves on the back for using ring terminals in our pigtail. So that way I can just go in there and swap those wires around, because I hooked them up wrong. That's okay. We can easily fix that. So let's go ahead and swap them around. Okay, got those two switched around. So now, since I can see both, it is on the auxiliary function. So when I turn it on, our battery, our breakaway box right here, should immediately go to charging once I turn it on. So let's see if that worked. Excellent. And now when I switch to electric brakes, see if they're engaged. Boom, there you go. So just by switching out the pigtail so far, we have already solved problems. So let's continue on, because we're still missing some functions. Okay, so we're back here at the driver's side, turn signal, and tail lights, brake lights. So what I'm going to do is, since none of those functions are working, I have a feeling that either both of the lights are unplugged, Probably not going to have both of them go bad. Not saying that couldn't happen, but that's just my hunch, is that they're unplugged or dirty or possibly disconnected back here in some fashion. Let's go ahead and pop them out and we'll see what we have. Okay, just as I suspected, pop the lights out, which are right there, and neither one of them was connected. So what we're going to want to do is go in there and clean off those 3 pins for each one of those plugs before we plug them back into the light and stick it back in. As much dirt as on there, I doubt we're going to make good contact if you were just to plug it in. So just wipe it down with a cloth, maybe even take a little tiny wire brush to it. That ought to be good enough. So let's do that and replug them and see what we get. Okay, all cleaned up. So there's the pigtail, nice and clean. That pigtail nice and clean. I also went ahead and ran that wire brush lights just so that way they're clean. So let's go ahead and plug them in and then we'll test it out again. Well, as you can tell, problem solved there. So left turn signal is on and we're working there. So let's go ahead and check the brakes. So brake lights are on. Let's go back. There you have it. It's that easy. I left them hanging just because there's no point in putting them back into the rubber grommet if you're going to have problems. And if you have to do more troubleshooting, at least you don't have to pop those things out again, because they do kind of come out a little tough sometime. So one other thing that I did notice before I cut it off last time is that the license plate lamp is not working. I pulled it out. The bulb looks good. I'm going to order a new little LED one for them. So for the time being, I'm just going to leave the lights out. I'll reconnect that, put that in when it gets here. But back to one other issue we were having was the marker light on the side right here wasn't working. So let's go ahead and investigate that. I'm going to pop that light out and I'll show you. I'm going to check to see what's wrong there. Okay, so I popped the light out. I already figured out what's wrong with it. It just wasn't seated properly. But let's go ahead and say the problem wasn't that easy. What could you do to check this? Well, first, get out your nice multimeter. Set it to volts DC. I have it on 20 volts DC. We should be getting somewhere right around 12 volts because that is what the system is. Go ahead and put your leads in there. And we're going to check the voltage. So at this point you got pretty dang close to 12 volts. If you had 12 volts and your light wasn't working, either A, check to see if it was plugged in the right way, because some of these are polarity sensitive, but some are not. And if that doesn't work, well, then you'll order yourself a new light. But since we have 12 volts here, I know the power's getting to it. And as you can see, like I said before, it was unseated, so that's what I knew was wrong. So I'm going to clean those off, replug, and push it right back on in the grommet. The light has been reinstalled and we're operational. So now, just for good measure, I'm going to go back and just recheck everything. So I've thoroughly examined all the tail lights, or the marker lights, running lights, whatever you want to call them. They all work. So we're going to go left turn again. I hear the nice audible on my tester. And actually, if I peek under the trailer, I can see it blinking over there. Brake lights. I can see the passenger side is illuminated. And if I peek under the trailer again, driver's side is illuminated. Right turn signal. I hear the audible click. Look back, I can see it clicking back there. Electric brakes. Come and check just one last time, just to be sure that they all lock up. That one does. That one does. That one locked right up. And that one locked right up. So all of our electric brakes are good. And when I click over to 12 volt auxiliary, I should hear all of the electric brakes release, which you can hear it. You hear that click? It's them letting go. And then my auxiliary, is charging the battery as it should. So now we have all the functions back on the trailer. I'm going to go through, just because they said the brakes were engaging just when they plugged it in. I have a feeling that that wire that was loose, the red one from the very get-go, was probably touching the electric brake connection, which would explain why it was engaging, because it's given 12 volts to the brake system all the time. So that would really explain that. But I'll check it just to be sure there are no anomalies. And if it all comes back good, this trailer is ready to go. You're going to encounter all kinds of different problems. When mice get to going in these things, it can be an absolute mess because they just make the trailer do funky things, which I was definitely expecting to find here, but it was just as easy as replacing a pigtail. Keep it simple, start at the lowest level possible and then escalate your troubleshooting. So I hope that helped you out in some way, shape, or form. Stay tuned for more.